We turn to a new tier at the beginning of Toad's Turnpike, a classic stage from the days of the N64. Before I talk about the actual course, I want to talk about C tier as a whole. I judge these courses based on a comparison to their peers, so to speak. That means that a bad track here might be a decent track in another Mario Kart with an overall worse lineup. As a result, even though we're going into the C tier, I generally think that all the tracks here and going forward are decent courses at the very least. It's just that Mario Kart 8 had a really nice lineup after all the tracks dropped. Mostly. So if you're mad about something being placed as low as C tier, just think of it this way. It's not that I think it's bad, it's just that there's so many more gooder choices. With that little jaunt note out of the way, Toad's Turnpike. This is another one of those tracks which I'm extremely familiar with via the original version. Sometimes it's good to recall a classic to see how much better it got, and other times it can be a bit of a hindrance. In this case, it's a hindrance, but I'll address why in a bit. So, as you can likely tell immediately, this here is a pretty straightforward map. It's not like a figure 8, it just is one. It's also one of the courses where you can kind of tell they tried to make it a part of a bigger place. In this case, I'd say part of a highway, but forgot to really connect it to somewhere. All of these vehicles just kind of got plopped here to drive in a figure 8 road, and don't really have any way of leaving. This isn't uncommon in Mario Kart. In fact, most courses don't have a way to leave in a practical manner, but Toad's Turnpike has two major issues plaguing it. The first being how simple the layout is. Just being a figure 8, it's a lot easier to notice the terrain and missing features, like a ramp. Sure, there's a lot of vehicles to distract, but it's not like they're super dangerous or challenging to drive around. In fact, some of the drivers don't even know how to close up their trailers, so you actually get some airtime off them. Okay, yeah, that's a little cool, but I think Nintendo was going for the illusion of challenging here and just kind of missed the mark. The second factor is more reliant on comparing to other tracks. When I race on something like Wario Stadium or Toad Circuit, they're built as racetracks first. There's less reason to question how the vehicles got there because it's only the carts that belong. It's not like Mod Toad is on her way back from her 9 to 5 because normal racetracks are no place for people on their day-to-day. You might think though, even factoring in that some cars are helpful, that this track might be a little harder than you'd expect for the Shell Cup, the first cup in the retro courses, but that's because of the biggest tweak to match 8's gimmick. Toad's Turnpike turns almost half the course into a traffic-free zone. It gives a lot of the tighter, more congested parts of the race an option for anyone who might find these parts more overwhelming. It's honestly a smart move, though you will never outspeed anyone this way. If you're racing against people who don't struggle to maneuver between the traffic, you're going to fall behind. The sidewalls try to help circumvent this by plastering boost pads along the entirety of it, but you're so far on the outside you rarely get the lead on other racers. It's kind of like a shortcut that's actually longer. But honestly, I don't think the point was to be a shortcut. I think it was supposed to be baby's first turnpike for first-timers. Circling back to that N64 comparison now, I think this is generally a worse version. The whole point of the course was to make it a dense traffic jam where all these bigger vehicles can really harm your run, but Mario Kart 8 made crashing less punishing, and rightfully so hitting the cars is more of an inconvenience than a threat, and the traffic jam is less jam-packed. I'm not against either of those changes on their own, or even together, but it does seem to undermine the entire point of the anti-gravity walls. If I were to remake this course, I would personally maintain the crashing mechanics being as tame as they are, but ramp up the density of the traffic. I think more racers would choose driving on the walls, and it would feel justified. But then again, maybe it wouldn't be suited for the Shell Cup, and maybe I just like a little more chaos than some. All of this still doesn't take enough away from what I like about Toad's Turnpike. I love the nightlife city driving style, and being based Mario Kart 8 means it looks really nice. And despite how much less threatening the traffic is, they still make sure that the track will feel a little bit different each lap, and by doing so, keeps me alert at all times. I'm still not normally going to pick it, but there are some days I will be in the mood to race it. Tomorrow, we're actually going to be staying in the Shell Cup. Wow, that's 3 of the 4 tracks. Perhaps this is the worst cup. Either way, I'll see you all then.